Chairman Sawyers, Vice Chairman Jesse, members of the board, Dr. Waltz. Ashland Elementary School, under the outstanding leadership of Principal Andy Jacks, is consistently among the very highest performing schools in the division. Ashland has been recognized at the local and national levels for their support of military-connected families and their students and staff's use of technology. As part of our commitment to share best practices in our division, this evening, Mr. Jacks, Assistant Principal Shana Robinson, and Reading Specialist Crystal Watt will be sharing Ashland's journey of raising their standards of instruction while implementing innovative and engaging experiences for all students. The Ashland team regularly shares these practices in person and through social media connections to schools within the division and across the country, resulting in partnerships that have created positive changes in those schools. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Andy Jacks, Principal of Ashland Elementary School.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Good evening, Mrs. Sawyers, Ms. Jesse, members of the board. Oh, I want to see the picture. I got to do my move. I can't help it. You got me. Thank you for having us speak tonight. I want to especially thank Mr. Wilk for all of his support, his selfies. He has a cameo in our video. You got to look out for that. I know he'll do anything for our students as well as give us any resource we need. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Also with me are Mr. Robinson, assistant principal, and Mrs. Watt, our reading teacher, as well as some of our Ashland team is code red, so I owe them 5 jeans days or something. And you heard me, so I think you're going to hold me to it. So I appreciate you all being there and literally having our back while we're here. So we have to do some of our little sayings while we're here. So Falcon 4. We soar. All day. Every day. We tell our students to believe in yourself and be you. And our motto is together we soar higher. All right. That's just a little taste of what we do. You know if you've been to our assemblies. So the story of our school begins with the belief that every child can and will achieve success. This belief is the fuel that drives us to do whatever it takes to help our students make progress. At Ashland, teachers have the green light to find any way possible or do anything they can for our students to be successful. When we were asked to share tonight, we talked about different programs that we do, some interesting things that we have, but ultimately it's about results, our beliefs, and our school culture if you want to know more about who we are at Ashland. In 2010, I began as principal knowing that we would strive for excellence, but not knowing exactly what that would take. One of the things I'm most proud of was how we came together to create our school motto, as we said earlier, together we soar higher, because how that has transformed our community. At Ashland, our motto is not just a slogan. It's a symbol that reminds us that for our students to maximize their potential, our staff and parents must be in this journey fully invested in each other and our students. But ultimately, student performance matters. This graph represents a ranking of elementary schools in Virginia based on combined SOL test results. In 2010, we were ranked 420th of 1,140 schools across Virginia, which was at the 62nd percentile, meaning that 62% of the schools scored lower than we did that year, but it also meant that 38% of the schools scored higher. Because of our work together, now we are ranked 49th in the state and the 96th percentile. We're still striving for #1 in the state. That means all of our students are successful in our school. We're proud to represent Prince William County as one of the highest achieving schools in the state because that means we're allowing fewer and fewer students to fail in our school every single year. These tests matter because our students matter, because how they feel after they take the test matters. It's how they feel about themselves, about how successful they can be, and especially for our students to start off their career going to middle school and high school where it just gets tougher, that they start off on the strongest foot possible no matter where they came from, what kind of background they have.
We have a school philosophy that every child matters. So our goals are always 100% pass rates. We're getting closer, as you can see by the slide, with our current 93% in reading and math, and 97% in science and history. What we are really proud of, though, is our efforts in closing the achievement gap for our most at-risk populations. Our professional learning community believes in individual accountability, with each of us responsible for the standards and the needs of all of our students. We use an individual teacher reflection process on unit tests and high expectations for student performance. We learn from our work with students, learn from sharing with each other, and quickly adapt to improve ourselves and our practices. We don't believe in waiting for a child to fail to get them the help that they need. If a student enrolls in our school and needs supports or interventions, they receive it immediately in one form or another. We have an all-in attitude in that every staff member is fully invested in every child.
Kind, creative, safe, hardworking, and fun. This is our school vision, which was created by all stakeholders and voted on by students. It helps us plan for instruction, keeping the whole child in mind, and reminds us what characteristics our community feels are most important for them in our school. We create engaging lessons focusing on a positive learning environment so our students want to run into school, not out of it. That means that we will use any tool, strategy, or technology that we can get our hands on to motivate our students to want to achieve more. And this is true for our general education setting as well as any small group intervention. We often hear from visitors that our school just feels different. That feeling is difficult to explain in words, so we created a video that highlights our efforts to build a positive school culture, which we feel is one of the most crucial ingredients to our students' success. Thank you to Mr. Benware and Mrs. Stroll for helping me make this video for us tonight that will hopefully let you better understand what drives us at Ashland. Let's take a look.
There's no easy road to success. It's hard work, but that's what makes it great. It starts with a belief that together we can help our students achieve anything.
What is your favorite part about being here at Ashland?
Just getting to have awesome teachers.
I'm not going to let you fail. It's not going to happen. That if you're struggling with something, I'm going to help you with it.
I'll always choose to go the extra mile for a student. So whether that's adding a club that I feel like could feature extra student opportunities, or giving extra things in class, or giving a grade level concert, it's always for the students so that they can shine and find different ways that they can find themselves.
We believe in every single child. We say 100% of our kids can be successful all the time. That is always our goal, nothing less.
So we're going to give the quizzes back on Thursday. And so when he got his quiz, he was so excited, the class started clapping. You know, they didn't know what his score was. They just, if he was excited, they knew that he must have done better than he had done in the past. So to me, I could almost get like a little teary-eyed when I see that, because I was a part of that. So that's nothing better for a teacher than to see a student work hard and then, you know, be successful.
The best thing about our school is that we have great staff that help us learn.
In my classroom, we use Kagan sometimes, which is a cooperative learning strategy. And it gets students motivated to get up and move around and talk. And when students are talking, they're doing the learning.
They work in groups, and they're never really by themselves. And it's a lot more fun to make mistakes and to learn and to get better at things when you're working in a group.
So as a teacher, I'm most passionate about relationships with students. And that's the foundation of everything. If we don't have a relationship with a student, if we don't know who they are and what their background is and what motivates them, then nothing else is going to work.
Something as simple as giving them a hug every morning just makes them want to work harder and try harder, and they trust in you that you are doing the best that you can for them, and it makes it feel more personal and not just they're there because they have to be and you're doing this because you have to do it. You know, they feel that you genuinely care, so they're going to take the extra mile.
What's awesome is that one of our school mottos is believe in yourself and be you, and we really promote that in the classrooms and encourage kids to be themselves. And
so I kind of see who my students are and what they like and build on my lessons from there. Plus it makes me become a better teacher because I'm trying new things and I'm learning new ways, and I'm allowing my kids to help me learn things with their input. Okay, now I need you to teach me how to do that so the rest of the class can learn.
Working together with other teachers. When I talk about one-to-one, you know, how the resources that we have for our students,
are just so plentiful, and I think it just makes their experience so much better. We teach the standards, we teach, content, but they have this huge other piece that they work for. They want to come to the newsroom. They want to go to the production studio. They want to go to the STEM lab and do different projects. And it's just easier to teach with the resources that we have. Whenever I use the Kindles, they always want to know what they're expected to do. It's not just I want to get my Kindle and play. They want to have a purpose, which makes me happy because you can always give technology to kids.
Anything that we can do to help our children become more tech savvy, anything that has to do with more technology, more learning those kinds of skills because of the way things are sort of migrating to, I think that would be very helpful for them in the future.
And just letting teachers teach, not putting any restrictions on what you are allowed to do, giving you the green light.
So I think in order for us to motivate students, we have to be motivated ourselves. So if I'm not excited for a lesson that day, the kids aren't going to be excited for the lesson that day either.
Celebrations are a part of our school culture. It's important that students and staff understand that it's okay to have fun and celebrate when you accomplish something great.
And everyone is very supportive. So just the environment here in itself is amazing. I can't even stress that enough, that every day I go home and I say, I love my job.
Every one of us believes in every single child. No matter where they're coming from, no matter what their starting point is, we're going to help them be successful and maximize their potential. We can literally create miracles. We've had students where doctors had said that they would never be able to walk in their life, and now they're literally running down our hallway because a staff member, a teacher, a parent, we all believe they could. And at Ashland, we make sure that every one of our students is an opportunity for greatness. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, ladies.
Don't go anywhere, so you have to stand here and accept your praise. As always, we'll start with the local member, which in this case, as you recognized earlier, is Mr. Wilk. Mr. Wilk.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ashland, and everyone who's here, from our teachers to our PTO leader, Ms. Sager. Outstanding job she does. I took a lot of there's a lot to say, because I mean, every one of those scenes I feel like I've been a part of, and that's the great thing about Ashland. As much as you might think that that type of stuff is staged, I come into my buildings unannounced, and I'll walk in at any time, and this is, oh, is that not allowed? Oh, anyways. The principals like me enough. I come to my buildings unannounced, and we're still good. And you can see just all that happening in these buildings. I mean, at any point, you go into these rooms, you see the kids with those different, like you said, looking at the art on the wall. You see, the music, the activities. And when I look at Ashland, I think exemplary programs, outstanding teachers, engaged families. It's a whole community. It's something like I've never seen before. Technology innovation, Mr. Bayware is outstanding, and the work he puts in for all these little videos. You saw the Falcon and everything, and that's not even touching half these things. I mean, there's so many with those videos. Innovative practices, I'll say, I mean, there's always something happening, something you're adopting, rolling out. You're always one of the first to try different new initiatives, new things. And really, it's about being all in for kids. And that's how I summarize it. What I like, especially having Ashland here tonight and having you guys here and recognize you, is, as you mentioned, you saw those ratings. And one thing that I admire a lot about Ashland is, although you have outstanding scores and have a streak, I forget how long back it goes with your School of Excellence, you're never content with the status quo. I mean, you could be up there any year, I mean, at that point, but you're always striving to close another gap or reach another kid or another child. And I think that engagement and that effort and what your staff wants to do to really be a part of these kids' lives is what really motivates me and makes me really love visiting and being a part of the Falcon family. And you just saw little highlights, and there's little gimmicks. I mean, there's the School of Excellence, of course. You saw that crazy ceremony. Those always get better. The PTO has outstanding events. The holiday party this year was awesome. I mean, again, photos could see, what people did, like looking like the Grinch. I mean, Whoville, that whole thing. the fun run, the focus on especially your students with disabilities. That's an area that's very passionate of mine. So the autism awareness, the great staff you have there, the robotics, the musicals, the STAR program, being the first elementary school to pilot that and do that. And then, the veterans event, which wasn't even on there. I mean, I am just, you guys are outstanding, and I'm so honored to, during this short term of mine, to recognize you and, put you before the entire school division just for some great work, and keep on doing it. I love visiting and being a part of it. So thank you, Ashland.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilk. Anyone else? Ms. Jessie?
They say that high performance in a building, you can feel it. And I know you've experienced that, where the kids are invested. And I love going to schools where the kids are involved, and, the celebrations include them. When kids are involved in celebrations of learning, and when they are held responsible for their own learning, but given specific tools, because you can't just say you're responsible, you have to give them tools, and it seems like you guys give that to them. And kids who are in those environments, actually, although we talk about testing and how difficult and strenuous it is on some kids, kids who are involved in the testing and involved in their own learning enjoy taking tests because they know they're going to pass, because they know that you guys have prepared them for it. I loved all the hands-on learning. I especially liked did you get the ice bucket? Was it you? Or did you pour it on him? Yeah, I like that part, seeing him out there. But you seem to have everything. You've got, they say that there's a thing called IT, and you guys have it. And I'd love to come down and just visit sometimes, and just to see some of the things that you're doing. It's very exciting, and thank you for sharing with the rest of us. You're awesome.
Thank you, Ms. Jessie. Ms. Arnold.
So I just also wanted to throw some praise at you guys. Speaking as a student, we know when teachers believe in us or don't believe in us. And the fact that in your school you're stimulating an environment of teachers that care about their students and let their students know that they are cared about and that they really can do anything is so, so important. It really makes a big difference when students know that they're believed in. Because if you feel like nobody cares about you, then you give up. And the fact that you're refusing to let that happen is wonderful. And I just really wanted to commend you guys on that, because it makes a big difference in students' lives when they know that there are people who believe in them and really believe they can do anything. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold. Mr. Trenner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jackson, I'm not going to throw praise your way. I'm still carrying a grudge for leaving the Brentsville district. But anyway, no, but really, sincerely, congratulations. You do a great job, and I hope you're keeping up the tradition of the socks, at least.
I got Batman socks on tonight.
Very good. Okay.
I was wondering if you were asked that, actually.
Absolutely. But no, great job, and congratulations on everybody, all of y'all. It's a great team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trenner. Ms. Satterwhite.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jacks, everybody here from Ashland, thank you so much for everything you do for kids. Last year, Mr. Alston and I had the privilege of being there when the Secretary of Education was there, and that's the only time I've been in your school, but you blew me away. I mean, everything that you do it well. From the interactive art gallery, to the TV studio, to the reading buddies, watchdogs. A parent was talking to me this weekend about the robotics program, and you go over and above. And thank you, because what you're doing isn't just the job, you're giving of yourselves, like so many of our teachers do every single day, and it's showing. And what you're doing is setting a great example for all of us and inspiring all of us, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Satterwhite. All briefly. Oh, sorry, Ms. Williams, go ahead. It's okay. Ms. Williams.
Just briefly, I'm jealous of the Batman socks, huge sock person. But it's just great to see that kind of excitement and enthusiasm from, our teachers and our staff. And it really starts with the leadership. So I just wanted to extend a thank you, because that's where it all begins and it flows downhill from there. And just, I loved your little head cock when you were talking about letting teachers teach, because it just, I mean, it's the body language speaks a lot. You just don't see that a lot from it. It was just very personal. It really tickled me a lot. But again, it's with leadership, and that's really what makes a difference. And you're allowing your teachers to do what they're there to do, and that's something that is not carried throughout the country, and it makes a difference in part for our students, but also for the people who work there. It's important. We spend the majority of our lives in our work environment, and having a healthy work environment is important. And when your teachers are happy, your kids are happy. So thank you for sharing this evening, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Ms. Ralston, go ahead. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Ralston.
There it is. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. When you share, we all glow. So your kids are just little lights every place they go. I'm really proud to be a part of the Prince William County Schools. Many school districts don't have you in them. And you know that by not just their test scores, but by the look on a kid's face when they have to come to school. If that kid is not happy, you hear this little noise behind them. Ah! That's the noise, because they don't want to go. But since I've been here and I go around to schools, do you know that I see kids running into the building? This is strange. So whatever you're doing, keep it up. And if you got a little fairy dust or something else, just keep using it. I think Prince William County Schools is probably the best.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ralston. Obviously, I stopped by your school last academic year. You weren't there, Mr. Jackson, when I stopped by. I believe now realizing you were probably out flying a drone based on the video footage that you have of drone footage. So I now know where you are. It looks about like the same weather when I was there. But obviously, I got a quick tour of everything that was going on there, including your green screen and all your different spaces, which you do a wonderful job with. And I even came short. One of your students started asking me about my lapel pin. That I don't know if you heard this story or not, but one of your students asked me about my American flag lapel pin that I had on, which is what I picked up at I was actually one of the pins I picked up at the Lyndon Baines Johnson Library in Austin, Texas. And so I got to tell her about how LBJ used to be a teacher and how he used to help students and the things that he did when he was a teacher in Texas. And so it gave me a little 5-minute history lesson to be able to teach a student. I don't think they remember anything about LBJ, but I know I came back short one American flag lapel pin because that little girl easily sweet talked me out of it. So, but obviously the school was impressive when I saw it then. It's no surprise to see it. Mr. Wilk has been anxious to have you guys here for a long time. And I know he has said to me over the last 2 or so years that we've been on this board together, he has heaped praise upon your school and things that you've done in different conversations that we've had with me. In fact, he's even invited me to come down several times, and my schedule has just not allowed me to do so at the same time he's been there. But your reputation of not just you, but your school is all over the county. And I thank you very much for taking the time to spend with us here today. And you can be sure that you'll be probably seeing more of us at your school sometime soon.
Great.
So,
always welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to citizens' comment time. Because this is kind of a double meeting, and I know a lot of people were signed up to speak last meeting as well, I think we'll be able to probably get through this, even though there's quite a few people signed up. But instead of going all the way to the end, I think we can do it that way. And so what I'm going to do, while I'm calling it, I'm going to go through the list of 10. It is a big room, so I do ask if I call your name that you come up and use the reserved seats here in front, so we can expedite it as much as possible. I'll call the first 10 speakers up, come up and fill up these front seats here, and then I'll go over the rules as you're coming forward. Our first 10 speakers are Dev Sharma, Charles Ronco, Stephen Bender, Elizabeth Vohar, Kathleen Suddarth, India Daniels, Matthew Arrett, Lisa Laughlin, Justine Hubie, Colleen LeMay. Colleen LeMay is number 10. As you're coming forward, the rules, if you haven't spoke here before, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. I'll run the timer here from my computer, which works 95% of the time. The timer will appear on this screen above my right shoulder. At 30 seconds, it turns yellow. It means it's time to wrap it up. And at 0 seconds, it turns red. It means that your time is up. Obviously, please use proper decorum at all times. Mr. Ronco, I'm looking at you in particular. Just kidding. Yeah, just teasing. Please use proper decorum at all times, and I don't think that'll be an issue, Mr. Ronco. You've been here plenty of times before. I just happened to look up and you were looking at me. I apologize. So we'll start with our first speaker.